So if you're in the middle of filling out the FAFSA for college or know someone who is, you need to know about this. There's a brand new, kind of surprising warning that started popping up. And honestly, it's just a single line of text, but it could completely change how millions of students pick a college. All right, let's get into it and figure out what's going on.
Okay, just picture this for a second. You're finally sitting down to do your financial aid forms. You type in the name of your absolute dream school, and boom, a warning from the federal government pops up right on your screen. What do you even do? What does that mean? Well, this isn't a hypothetical anymore. It's the exact situation students are facing right now.
All right, so let's break this down from the top. As you might know, the whole FAFSA system just got a massive overhaul. And tucked inside that big update, the U.S. Department of Education rolled out this brand new feature. It's officially called the Lower Earnings Indicator. And the whole idea is to give you more info right when you're making one of the biggest decisions of your life.
So what are you actually going to see? Well, when you select a school that triggers this thing, this exact message appears on your screen. Some of your selected schools show lower earnings. I mean, it's pretty direct, right? It's stark. It's designed to make you stop and pay attention.
And this whole process is built right into the application itself. So first, you go ahead and select your school. Then, if it's on the flagged list, the system immediately highlights it in red. Next, a little comparison chart pops up showing that school's earnings right next to a high school benchmark. And then, and this is the part that gets me, right next to it, there's a little trash can icon, making it super easy to just, remove the school from your list entirely.
So, you might be wondering, what's the official reason for all this? Well, according to the Department of Education, the goal is to, and I'm quoting their press release here, help prospective students make informed decisions about whether an institution is likely to lead to economic success. And that's the key phrase, isn't it? Economic success. Okay, so a school gets flagged. Your immediate thought might be, oh, so it's a bad school? But not so fast. This is where we need to get really, really specific. Let's dig into what this warning actually means, and maybe even more importantly, what it doesn't mean. So here's the nuts and bolts of how it's calculated. A school gets flagged for one and only one very simple reason. If the typical earnings of its graduates, measured 4 years after they finish, are lower than the typical earnings of high school graduates in that same state. That's it. It's a straight-up comparison of two numbers. And this difference is absolutely critical to understand. What this flag is a very direct comparison between two numbers. That's all. What it isn't is some kind of rating of the quality of the teaching, or how happy the students are, or even how many graduates find jobs. It's a really narrow economic metric. It is not a holistic review of the school. And here's another super important detail you gotta know. This data is calculated for the entire school at the undergraduate level. It doesn't get into the specifics of different programs or degrees. So think about it. A university's super high-earning engineering program gets averaged together with its, say, lower-earning fine arts program. The warning applies to the whole institution, not the specific degree you might be going for. Okay, so this is all a bit abstract, right? So how does it actually play out in the real world? To make this concrete, let's zoom in on one state. We're going to look at Kentucky and see which schools are actually getting this warning based on the government's own data. So looking at that federal data set, a whole bunch of career-focused schools in Kentucky are now getting flagged with this lower earnings warning. If you look specifically at the beauty and cosmetology sector, the list includes several Paul Mitchell schools, Summit Salon Academy, and a number of Empire Beauty School locations all across the state.
And I really want to stress this point. This isn't my opinion or some third-party analysis. This list comes directly from the spreadsheet published by the U.S. Department of Education itself. This is the official data that's powering that FAFSA warning system.
So this new warning system has definitely kicked off a national conversation. But what about the schools that operate completely outside of this whole system? Let's take a look at a really fascinating case study, also from Kentucky, that shows a totally different way of doing things. The Louisville Beauty Academy. So why doesn't this warning affect a school like this one? The answer is actually pretty simple. The FAFSA warning only shows up for institutions that take part in federal aid programs, like Pell Grants. Well, Louisville Beauty Academy doesn't. They're not in the system, so they can't be flagged because they never even show up on the FAFSA form to begin with. And this isn't some brand new experiment. The Louisville Beauty Academy has been around for nearly a decade. They've built a solid track record and are a real fixture in their community.
And in that time, they've successfully trained and licensed nearly 2,000 graduates. That's a steady stream of skilled professionals heading right into the local workforce.
And what's the result of all that?
Well, the estimated annual economic impact is up to $50 million. That's all generated by the services and the small businesses started by their graduates. It's a really powerful counter-narrative to a simple government earnings number, isn't it?
And this all boils down to a fundamentally different philosophy. By choosing to stay out of the federal aid system, they can focus on what they call true affordability, using direct discounts and incentives instead. Their whole model is built around getting students ready for the workforce with one main goal in mind: helping them graduate with zero debt.
So what we have here are two very different models for education. On one hand, you have the system tied to federal aid, with its new warnings and metrics, and on the other, you have an independent, debt-free approach. What does this contrast tell us about the bigger picture for students and for education policy in general?
So what's the real takeaway here? Well, this new FAFSA warning isn't just a technical update. It's a huge spotlight on the national debate about college costs and what kind of outcomes we should expect. It shows there's a real need for clear, honest pricing in education. It also highlights the value of these community-based, debt-free training programs. And maybe most importantly, it proves that small, often immigrant-led institutions can be incredible economic powerhouses.
And that really leaves us with this final thought. The new FAFSA warning gives us one single piece of data: median earnings. But as we've just seen, that is nowhere near the whole story. So the real question for all of us, students, parents, policymakers, is this: when you're choosing a path for your future, what really matters more than just a single number?